Askreddit thread. Reddit. What's the grossest slash nastiest thing that's happened to you in a sexual encounter? I'll go first. This is actually a 5-year-old one, but someone recommended I read it, so here we go. I think I read one of them from here, and it was really, really gross, so prepare to be really grossed out. So a few years ago, I had brought a new girl back to my apartment after being out drinking all evening. We were too drunk to make the beast with two backs, so we passed out until morning. When we awoke, we started kissing and canoodling, and I decided to go down on her. This is one of my favorite things, and I generally will do it as long as it takes to make a girl orgasm. Anyway, I head down south and pull down her panties to see the hairiest bush I've ever seen in my life. Not only is it hairy, but the hair is very long and also messy looking. Kinda begrottled, like a homeless guy's beard or an abandoned bird's nest. Slightly less enthused, but still determined, I plunged face first and start getting busy. The taste of this beaver, if possible, was worse than it looked. It was fetid and bitter, and make matters worse, I had numerous pubic hairs caught in my throat, which were tickling me and making me cough. I decided to pull back for a second to regain my composure. I thought if I pulled open her baby lips, I might be able to have a better angle of attack on her clit. I opened up her pussy to a terrible sight. There were multiple lumps of what looked like cottage cheese dotted around her pussy lips and clit. Each lump ranged from a few millimeters in width to a half centimeter in size. It looked like some sort of fungus was growing there. Needless to say, I was fucking revolted and started gagging. I knew that despite my love of pussy, I could not to go down on her again without puking my guts up. I mumbled some excuse about a headache and not feeling good and fled to the bathroom. Whereupon, I spent 10 minutes washing my mouth out and brushing my teeth. Even now, I shudder when I think back upon cottage cheese pussy girl. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. My friend just pointed out to me that the girl from the story is now the Lemon Bros' Spank Bank material. Perhaps if you ever have a boner and want to lose it sharply, you can think of cottage cheese. Alright, the first one was really gross. A girl beneath me rolls me over onto my back. In the process, we roll off the bed and we land on the floor, me on the bottom, her still straddling me. Her leg went straight through a big glass of water, blood everywhere. She had lacerated her leg straight to the bone in a clean cut. I could see her muscle. Within 10 minutes of our initial playing around, there were 6 firemen and 3 policemen in the room. She was mental and shouted down the phone that I had a gun so they would come sooner. I was high and drunk, and so her roomie took control. Paralyzed by shock and weed, I had to hide until they took her in the ambulance, as she was that crazy that I was expecting her to call rape. She required 62 stitches, 40 on the muscle covering her shin. This is the singular most traumatic experience of my life. He pulled it out to come on my face. I was unprepared and snorted his semen up my nose. We started making out, and I sneezed the semen into his own face. Probably goes for him than for me, but not by much. That's gross. My story probably doesn't compare to any of these, but here it goes. I had recently found a new girlfriend, a cute blonde with lots of curves in all the right places. We had been together for a little while. This was back when I was a junior in college and she was a freshman. When we went to this huge party, we both ended up getting totally trashed and wound up back at my place. Needless to say, I was way too drunk to get any bid-nast done that night. Next morning, we woke up and started to go at it. For some reason, I'm always really randy after a night of heavy drinking. Anyway, midway through the sex, we were doing it doggy style with her on all fours at the edge of the bed and me standing behind her on the floor. I'm hammering away like a rabid jackrabbit when all of a sudden I get the sour flood, extra saliva filling my mouth. I knew what was coming, but it was too late. As the puke surged up my esophagus, I clenched my hands over my mouth in a death grip. To no avail. I spun around and tried to aim for a waistband, but it was no use. I ended up projecting vomit in about a 3/4 circle. I managed to go from her right side across the wall behind me, and the bookcase that was there, all over the waistband, and I spun and went past the waistband and got it on the floor in the bed on her left side. Luckily, only some puke flack got on her back. She's still a great girl, though. That was 3 years ago, and we are still together. Holy shit. That's gross. 3 words. Anal sex pinworms. Maybe not as gross as the OP stories, but it's fucking nasty to pull your dick out and see a dozen or so worms writhing around on the condom. Oh, these are so gross. Why would you suggest this to me? I was in a band in college and we played a show this one weekend. I was pretty smashed after drinking for free all night. And this surprisingly cute chick saunters up and started the whole, oh my god, you like write songs and stuff, despite the fact I'm usually a bit shy in situations like this. She had her arm around me and doing all the work. Fuck it, let's do this, I think to myself. While she is mid-sentence, I grab her hand and start walking her out the door. We headed back to her apartment and things started to heat up. We were on her bed, ripping off each other's clothes. Suddenly, in one swift move, she pounced on me, knocked me to my back, jumped on top of me, spun around, and started sucking me off, 69 style. I was totally into it and started reciprocating. Only a few moments passed before I felt a tap on my forehead. My face was fully between her legs, yet there was this tap, tap, tap on my forehead. Every couple seconds, tap, tap. This tapping continued and started to take me out of the moment. I pried my face from between her legs to get a better view of what was going on. To my horror, I witnessed, dangling from her asshole, a fucking tapeworm, bouncing like a fluted noodle with very excited movement she made. I was totally disgusted, but kind of in shock, and she had no idea what was going on. Just gobbling away down there, and before I knew it, I had thrown her off of me and was struggling together a long series of fuck, 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 as I put on my pants and ran out the door. Dude, that's fucking fucked. Threat stops here. This is the winner. Oh god, you. Oh god, that's gross. I'll read a couple more, even though these are totally disgusting. Okay, logs into the shill. Sorry, but my family knows my usual username. So the boy and I like some backdoor fun from time to time. We talk about it more than we do because it's tiresome to get ready and clean up afterward. Usually worth it though. One Saturday afternoon, the boy's performing some world-class cumnambulous when I feel a pressure at my nether orifice. I soon realize he was using some beads on me. We had some filthy and very, very satisfying sex. Then I went to the bathroom to clean up without removing the beads. I'm so glad I did that. I sat in the toilet to get the beads out. I'm so glad I did that. Those beads were solid, embedded in a great big turd. I just stared at it dumbly for moments before the smell hit me. This is the most upvoted. Okay, gross. I accidentally shit once while fucking a girl. I was pretty drunk and had to fart. I had the runs as well, you know, I pooped. It was especially runny. It felt weird landing on the back of my thighs. It really sucked, but I kept at it for a few more minutes, and I felt the bubble guts. I was torn. I was drunk, so I was debating if I wanted to just shit and keep going or get up and run away. Somehow, those were my only two options. My body had a third option. I decided to get up and just leave, but I didn't want to get my pants all covered in shit. So I did a quick wipe with my boxers, threw my jeans on, and pretty much just walked out. I was really upset at myself for how I handled it. I started to walk home and I fell down and shat myself. I think I could have been karma. These are all really gross. We were messing around in a car waiting for the class to start when I had to write my midterm exam. So to relieve some pressure, I suggested a quick one. She agreed. We were both in the school parking lot, and right when I finished and was about to pull the condom, my GF was in the front seat already. Our professor parks right next to us. I was terrified, to say the least. He had gestured if I was coming to class and said I rolled my window down with my hand on my crotch and said yes. He said, "Do you mind helping me with these papers?" And the best poker face ever. I had no other choice but to say yes. So I pulled my pants up and walked with him, with the cum-filled condom still on my penis. I was in class for 1 hour and 45 minutes and had to write the test with the condom on my dick. Every time I moved, I died a little inside. I split my banjo strings, if you know what I mean. Blood everywhere. I do not. The banjo strings is the stretchiest part of skin that connects your foreskin to your glands. Helmet or bell ends. Wait, your foreskin to your glands. What? Water does not make a good lubricant. Okay, this seems something I don't want to read more about. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Okay, first of all, this thread is phenomenally gross and I love it. I had to create an account just to share this story. I went to college at school with a large deaf college. Now, I went to college at a school with a large deaf college. No, I read it right. So there were a couple thousand deaf kids running around campus at any given time. The first big party night of the fall, and everyone is getting shit-faced. Two of my roommates and I had returned to the apartment for a quick smoke section. So in our barges, our other roommate with a girl of clearly questionable virtue, and immediately they run upstairs to his bedroom without another word. Our roommate was a lanky ginger with scruffy red beard and mustache. We used to call him Brother Hezekiah. Hezekiah? So about 5 to 10 minutes go by, and all of a sudden this girl comes bounding downstairs, half-dressed at best, and runs out the door. Our roommate closely follows, jumps down the last stair to the landing, and starts yelling, "Deaf girl down, deaf girl down." We start laughing hysterically, and as I'm about to ask what the fuck happened, I notice blood running down his red beard chin to his neck and chest. It was a truly vulgar sight. At that point, I literally fell to the floor laughing. Long story short, she was deaf and couldn't seem to communicate to him not to go down on her because she was on her period. She fled the scene in mortified embarrassment. My roommate, despite our advice to the contrary, splashed some water on his face and went back to the party. Other fun fact. The next day, we asked how he convinced a deaf chick to come back to her in the first place. He said, "I just pretended to know sign language. Just waved my arms around." His sheets were blood-stained, but he continued to sleep in them for at least a week before changing or washing them. That's gross. First, I'm a girl, and there's no excuse for cottage cheese pushy. More than likely, it was a result of multiple trips to the bathroom while drinking. But damn girl, swipe that shit with a rag before you bed down. Second, I've enjoyed the horror stories and I realize girls can be nasties, but dudes, your balls smell. Going down on a guy can be like being locked in the trunk of a car with old cheese. Wash your balls, and if it wouldn't hurt to trim a little. The grossest sexual encounter I had was with a guy who sweat so profusely it was dripping on me. Then he flipped his sweaty ass around into my face to attempt what I can only assume was a 6'9" position, but was more like being force-fed a butt sandwich, and I could see the sweat glistening on his ass/ball hair. That and the cheese smell coming from his balls made my eyes water, and I threw up, and I threw him off of me and ran to the shower. 30 minutes of soap and hot water, and I still didn't feel clean. I once got drugged. No shit. Went to the swingers club with a chick at the time. She was hanging out and having a great time. At some point, I figured I must have picked up the wrong champagne glass that was meant for the hot Ukrainian girl next to me. About an hour later, we were going to the taxi back to our apartment with another girl my girlfriend had met there at the club. When I was violently sick and started to black out. In the front of the cab, barely made it home, then collapsed for about 15 hours. Apparently, my girlfriend and the chick had to pay the taxi guy like $100, and it was a big mess. Of course, my threesome was off. Thanks, asshole. I totally didn't think that date rape drug in your drink urban legend was true until that night. I confirmed this by having some friends who knew at the club tell us like 2 weeks later that some chick had the same thing happen while she was still in the bar and the police caught the guy there. So yeah, scary. Well, that's not really all that gross compared to everything else. Seems like these are getting milder as it goes on in the thread. So this one time I'm having sex with my girlfriend, right? And it was all good and sexy, so we finish up and everything seems cool. Then about 9 months later, a fucking little human being comes out of her pussy. I mean, just pops out, and I saw this shit with my own eyes. Little fucker still living with us. Uh-huh. 69, fuck, that's disgusting. My ex-boyfriend came in my nose while attempting the world's worst facial. Last summer, my husband and I are living with roommates. Okay, I think I should finish this off with the Jolly Rancher story. This is the whole reason I came here in the first place. Okay, the famous Jolly Rancher story of Reddit. Nothing tops the Jolly Rancher story. Steve and his girlfriend Samantha went off to college in August. She went to Florida State, he went to Penn. So she decides to fly to PA to visit him. He was really happy to see her. He decided to give her some oral action. He had done this numerous times before. He always enjoyed doing it, but for some reason this time she smelled really horrible, and she tasted even worse. He didn't want to offend her though because she hadn't seen her in months, so he put a Jolly Rancher in his mouth to cover it up, even though it didn't do much to help. In the course of eating her out, he accidentally pushed the candy inside of her, and stuck a finger in to grab it out. He took it out, put it back into his mouth, and bit it. Only it wasn't the Jolly Rancher. It was a noodle of gonorrhea. As in, the blister-like structure that gonorrhea makes filled with disease pus was the size of a fucking Jolly Rancher, and the poor guy bit it. I guess it was really dark in the room. He freaked out and started vomiting all over the place when it exploded in his mouth. He demanded to know what was going on. Turns out she had cheated on him at a club like the first week of college and fucked some random dude, and the stupid bitch had no clue what was wrong with her. She noticed a strange smell though. So now Steve is freaking out that he has gonorrhea of the mouth and God knows what else. Ugh. Oh, that's so gross. I work in the emergency room. One time we had a patient who had a colostomy. For those who don't know, it's a surgically placed hole in the abdomen where shit comes out of after the colon is routed away from the ass. Anyway, some girl comes in once with an infection in her stoma, abdominal shithole. Turns out it was gonorrhea. Her husband had been cheating on her, picked it up, and had been fucking her in the stoma. Oh, that's gross. Okay, that's enough of this thread.